I wanted to fully experience the experience.
When you see it, you really want to just pick it up.
I don't want to know that other people are in pain. I don't want to know that other people are struggling or
Are your own author and you are your own audience.
how could such a light book on the hand feel so heavy on the heart? Oh, I'm the person who has the expectations. So like it was a kind of a conflict between me and me.
I'm also quite impressed with the whole package. Hey everyone, welcome on board. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with Zoe Mohammed, a self-published poetess and a passionate storyteller. Zoe has recently released her debut poetry collection, I'm Breaking the Silence, the Stigma, and the Bank. This was released on September 1st, 2024. This book explores deep themes of the draining realities of the world we live in and how it affects our being. Zoe is a minimalist, an art connoisseur, with an academic background in linguistics and a great love for literature. Her writing reflects a unique blend of personal insight and a commitment to raising awareness around mental health issues. Most of the pieces are written through the lens of depression, and the inspiration was completely drawn from her own story. We're excited to learn more about the creative process, so we'll be digging deep by asking a few questions to understand more about Zoe and her story. Zoe, welcome, and it's an absolute pleasure for me to be here. How are you feeling in this moment?
Hello, everybody, and hello, Adel. Nice to see you again. I'm feeling excited and nervous as well because this happens to be the most important thing in my entire life, this book, this project. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm happy about it. And likewise, pleasure is mine to do this.
Absolutely. Great. So we're going to start with a set of questions which will discover more about Zoe's story and the story behind this beautiful book. As you can see, this is what it looks like. Let's talk about this title first. What does it mean and how did you come up with it?
Okay, what does it mean? The title carries a lot of messages, and actually coming up with it was more difficult than writing what's inside. The title obviously means that I want to break the silence and start talking about things that are unspoken about, and I want to encourage people to not suffer quietly. I want to break the stigma by breaking free from judgments, from making them or getting affected by them, and encourage everybody not to do the same. And for the last part, breaking the bank, because obviously this is a personal investment, if we could say. And I literally did it broke. So like, I don't want to tell people that I'm broke, but I want to tell them you can manage, you can figure out a way, but that's not the important part. The important part, let's break the silence, let's break the stigma. Let's not pretend our way through life. Let's just embrace and experience the normal human feelings.
That's absolutely brave indeed, and I think it's a much needed way or frame of thinking that has to be vocalized and in many ways publicized, which is why it's being published in this book. So let's also try to understand the story behind your poetry collection. What are the themes explored and what topics are you covering?
Okay, the story behind it really begins with my own personal experiences and the difficult emotions that I felt and having to constantly go through difficult situations in life. Like life just constantly kept shooting, and then learning that I'm not the only person going through them. And then writing became a way for me to describe it and tell our stories, all of us. And then it's a way for me to organize the drawers in my head because like there's just a lot of mess because I
How
never
many
got
drawers are we talking about?
a lot, so many.
Is it like an IKEA drawer or is
No,
it like...
that's very organized. So like,
All right.
yeah, it's all up in the air because I never got to speak about it, to talk about it. It could be difficult to process and difficult to let out, or just a simple fact that there's no one actually to listen or understand or support. So we're being left, we're held like we just have to suck it all in. And why I wrote it through the lens of depression, that happens to be the lens of survival, coping, pain, and rarely, barely, seldom hope. I'm trying to tell people who don't know what it's like that there are things that we're trying to overcome that you don't see. So like it's like I'm opening a small window for them to see that.
Absolutely. Actually, what you just said reminded me of one of my top three poems. So I'm not sure if you heard of Sabrina Benham, and she's got a poem called Explaining My Depression to My Mother. And she crafts it so beautifully. And there's a performance of hers that's featured on Button Poetry that's actually gone viral. And while she's performing, she, endures this anxiety attack while she's literally talking about her anxiety and things. So basically, the gist of the poem is how she tries to vocalize her depression, just like how you've done in this book, but her mom still doesn't get it.
That's the problem. We have to like face it, and then we have to go through the hell of trying to explain it. And then again, like bump into the fact that they still don't understand or they don't acknowledge it. So like, yeah, and I forgot to mention that the themes are just the draining realities of our world, responsibilities at an early age, colliding with some societal rules that I find inhuman, or trying to go up the professional ladder, loneliness, relationships, just problems of becoming an adult, and obviously depression, because unfortunately this happens to be a disorder or an illness that is widely spreading and people aren't noticing it. Not the people suffering from it, and not the people who are living with or accompanying the ones who have it. So yeah, everything that's happening around us, whether in a direct, close way, or just all the way across the globe, it touches all of us. If we're human, if we have feelings, if we have just 1 ounce of humanity. So yeah, and I'm a sensitive person, so like I avoid to learn and know what's going on, because it really affects me, and then I keep overthinking it, and if I don't, then I go dream about it. So like I have to process it, I have to write it, and I have to speak about it, because it's out there. People can't, okay, you can pretend that you don't care, but you can't pretend to be blind.
True,
Yeah.
so true. I mean, art is thank God for art.
Yes.
Art
Big time.
definitely keeps us alive, and it's a medium that bridges cultures, boundaries, borders, whatsoever. And if only more of the world, shared and celebrated art, I think
If only, yeah.
the world would be a much more better place, and I think we would take a much more conscious effort to understand and tolerate, and not just tolerate, celebrate
Yes.
each other,
Yeah.
So moving on, who do you hope will connect most with your work?
Okay.
Is there a particular audience you had in mind while writing, or do you see your poems as universal and it's just applicable to everyone?
Initially, the people who are experiencing the same experiences, or are experiencing the same feelings, not necessarily everybody who will read it will connect with every word or all the pieces, but definitely, still, unfortunately, definitely you will, something will resonate, they will find something relatable, whether a line, a verse, or something. So I want people who are going through similar experiences. However, like I mentioned, I want also the people who have absolutely no idea what that is to also try and understand a little bit, So yeah, but also initially, I didn't intend to reach a certain audience, because when I first started writing, I never intended this to be published. So like I wrote for myself. And then again, with the process of making the book, then you would just like with marketing or whatever, you'd have to find your targeted audience or like that. So initially, I just wrote because I wanted to write. Like the whole thing, I was just telling the stories and describing my emotions. And then the part where I learned, oh, there are a lot of people who are going through this. So like I want to reach out to the people who are going through this and aren't. So yeah, I think it is universal. Yeah.
As writers, I think the most authentic form of writing is when you write for yourself.
Yeah.
You are your own author and you are your own audience.
Yes.
I tell people, don't deny the world of all the good you can bring to it. And
That's nice.
voila, that's the good that you would like to share with the world around you.
Yes.
All right, so let's dive a little bit deeper, because you said, okay, you had this aha moment where you decide to convert this into book. But what's the message that you would like to deliver?
Okay, there are messages within the title that we obviously mentioned, and there are messages within the book overall, but there are three main messages that I want to make clear. People need to know, the ones that are experiencing this, they need to know if you're experiencing these emotions or if you're going through these situations or problems, it's normal. You're human. The second thing, yes, you're not alone. Unfortunately, yes, but you're not alone. You're not the only person going through this. And the most important one, yes, we can navigate through tough times. And I'm supposed to say and come out stronger on the other side, but I'm just going to keep it at we can reach the other side at this point. So, like, these are the main messages that I want to deliver because people reading this, even if they are experiencing, even if just one slight emotion or a certain situation, it varies. We're not all at the same wave or the same boat at the same time. But like, I want them to know because the journey might take a while. So like, yeah, they need to know.
Absolutely.
This
And
is
it's
it.
not for everyone either.
Yes.
I mean, it's sometimes, you could share it, but then your audience might just be one person.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a whole room, sometimes it's a whole crowd while you're performing on stage. For instance, when I started poetry, like almost 10 years ago, and this was at Rooftop Rhythms, which is the largest platform for spoken word in the region, and my mentor Dorian had invited me to perform. And I was excited. I invited my friends, my close friends, and I dressed up and stuff like that. I think the first few
You were
times
excited, yeah.
yes, you dress up and you want to have a prop and all this, so it was more visual and things, which is not the point. But yeah, so I was up on stage and I'm there bleeding my heart out, all right? And obviously you're feeding off the reaction of the audience, and I'm looking at my friends and I see my best friend at that point. But yeah, she was actually playing Candy Crush on her phone while I was on stage, all full of anxieties and emotions. And yeah, so sometimes
maybe they don't know how important it is, that thing.
True. Yeah, and it's not for everyone, and not everyone has the same or similar journey. And your life path is different. What you go through is different, you know. But then if you can connect with that one person, then that's your audience for that.
I want to quote something. You know, when Eminem says, "If one kid out of 100 feels and relate, that's great. That's great." I'm not sure which song this is, and he's like, I'm doing this for the one person out there that can actually hear this and feel it, no matter whether they actually are experiencing it or not, if they could understand it. So like, yeah, we're gonna pretend that at a certain point we pretend that, yeah, it's okay if it's just one person. Like, no, we do care. We want the people around us to understand this, to feel it, to support us, whatever the thing is. But at a certain point, you realize that, yes, actually just one person, just like that one hand, or just like that one heart, or just like that one ear, yes, it's enough. Because it's complete, it's present, it's there. So yeah, it does make a difference.
Absolutely. And I think it also is one of the most purest forms of connection.
Yes.
When you actually vocalize it and things, and someone out there is like, yes, I get it, I've been there, and they either message you or they come and talk to you and say that I know how you feel. Maybe I don't know who you are, I don't know your name whatsoever, but then we're bonding on that experience. And
how good that is. But it's sad and unfortunate because earlier when I said knowing that there are other people who are experiencing this, it's not good. I don't want to know that other people are in pain. I don't want to know that other people are struggling or are living the same bad stuff that I'm going through. But then again, yes, it's just part of being human.
Yeah. Like you said, you're not alone, and that's one of the messages.
Yes.
So let's see, you've made some creative artistic choices, all right? Right from the cover of the book.
Yes.
The line in the back cover, which says "Look inside."
Yes.
All right. And all these illustrations, I hope I can show like at least one of them right here. Okay.
Okay.
So what was the significance behind these choices? And how did the collaboration with your illustrator shape the final product? Because this is like one of those signboards you see when you're driving down Hesse Street and there's like construction happening on the side, you know? So it's like, it literally is something that
Yeah.
is pretty,
Noticeable.
yeah, noticeable.
Or,
It can be highlighted pretty well, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm sure amongst a lot of other books, this will clearly pop out, you know, like a traffic sign.
Yeah.
So it grabs your attention. But what was the significance behind the choice?
I'll try to walk through each point. Everything about the book has a personal significance, yes, obviously, but then again, there are some greater meanings on a greater level. The color yellow is one of my favorite colors. I actually had my room back home painted yellow. And don't try to imagine yellow on a wall. But like, yeah, yellow and green actually.
Okay. It feels like SpongeBob's house for some reason.
Actually not.
Okay.
It looks like something very mature. So like, yeah.
Okay.
But the color
There we go.
yellow has a certain connotation, if I could use that word, or a message. In Arabic, at least, I'm not sure about other languages and cultures, when someone is under the weather or they're not okay, we describe them as yellow. Oh, you look yellow.
Okay.
Yeah. The majority of us now are yellow. So like, yeah, that is it. I'm very symbolic, and I don't know if people actually see whatever that I'm seeing, but like this is the part with the color. As for the line on the back side, this line, look inside, because I want you to look inside the book, and I want you to look inside yourself, and I want you to look inside the people around you. So yeah, like that is also a separate, complete message. About the illustrations part, while writing, I always had I envisioned each drawing. I didn't do them myself. I had someone hired to execute them, but I envisioned them. And then while writing, I would imagine a certain thing that has to do with that it just complements the words. So I'm gonna try to show this here.
Okay.
This drawing of the girl. So this is a tie. This poem, this piece is about trying to go up the professional corporate ladder, per se. And this isn't just a regular tie. This is actually a rope.
All right. It's a noose, yeah.
So like, yeah, trying to explain or imply how sometimes it can be really suffocating what happens there, you know, like the whole thing. So yeah, so the drawings are like that. The book could go perfectly fine without them, but then I think it complements it, and it doesn't really just guide the process, but it's nice. And I wanted this to be an art book. Yes, it's a poetry book, but then again, I thought I want this to be an art book. I actually didn't know that, because I'm only just used to reading novels. So usually the books are like, you have the story written. There was nothing inside. And obviously this isn't my novel. This is my poetry book, which is an art book. So I thought I'm going to add this.
Absolutely. And that alone adds another layer or dimension.
Yes.
Because, you know, as poets, okay, fine, you're speaking in metaphors. You're converting those images into words.
Yes.
But and the beauty is you leave it to everyone's imagination.
Yeah.
But once you put that picture in there, you know, like that's a very powerful picture, by the way, especially a tie being a noose and you're voluntarily making sure that it's worn properly and stuff. It's like you're voluntarily tying this rope around your neck. Sorry, trigger warning.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely powerful, and when you visualize it in that manner, it adds another layer.
Yeah.
And also this, you know, this part, look inside, like 2 words, but so powerful. You know, it's not just lazy writing. This is actually pretty clever, very smart. And how often do we actually look inside?
Exactly. Literally. Yeah. We just don't anymore. So yeah, I wanted people to look inside. You know, with the part where don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah, don't judge. Go read the book. And then, yeah, just look inside.
What inspired you to write this collection?
Pain. And obviously, pain. It's just simply pain. It happens also to be the only motive for everything around us. And I think a lot of artists, if I'm going to call myself an artist, are inspired by pain. Like I said, I didn't know I could write poetry. I didn't intend to publish, but then I would just sit and write. Ever since I was a kid, I just loved writing, like writing whatever, literally whatever I would. But the inspiration is purely from pain, from my own personal experiences. I don't want to sound so dramatic, but I did go through a lot. And again, I'm not the only person going through it. Pain and maybe the part where I realized, oh, I have a gift. I can write. This is nice. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a cool part to find out that I can write and rhyme. Maybe. Yeah.
True. It's how pain is processed into something else, and that pain is transformed. I think I had mentioned this to you earlier when we first met. Ernest Hemingway wrote, "The world breaks everyone, and then some are strong at the broken places."
Yes.
And this book right here is strength, personified.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Pleasure. Absolutely. It can be quite anxiety inducing, especially when you are when you're revolving around topics that can be highly sensitive. And I think as creatives, we have a certain degree of responsibility to make sure who we're speaking to and what are we putting out there. So yeah, good on you for that and for thinking about it, for taking that into consideration. Now, were there any moments where you hesitated to include certain details or themes? Was there a particular poem that was especially emotional or difficult for you to write?
Moments where I hesitated to mention anything? No, even though I just mentioned that I did make some changes. Because initially I just wrote for myself. So like I was just putting it out there for me in my notebook. But one pieces that are difficult to write or emotional, all of them. Why? You know how like when you maybe do CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, or like when you start to learn about your own patterns and behaviors. So when you don't know, you're doing the mistake and you don't know it's wrong. But then when you're self-aware, you're like, oh, like when you repeat it, oh, I know this is wrong, but you're still doing it because you still have a lot of work to do in order to stop doing that. So all of them are emotional and difficult and heavy because once they're out there, once you're reading them, it's like a slap on your face that, oh, this is what I've been going through. Like it's a moment of realization all over again. So like it's a constant reminder that this is what's been happening. So whenever I write down anything, a line or a word, and like I said, for me, it was an on and off process. So like it was on and off writing, but in my head, it was always on. But then until the words come, screaming, running, dancing, it's always just on, trying to keep it calm. But then you're realizing, oh, this is really it. Oh, this is really it, and I'm not the only person. Oh, how could how did I do this? Or how did I let this happen to me? So yeah, all of them were, and some of them I wrote in one setting. Some of them would take me just months. I would just write maybe 3 lines and then just go about my life, write a whole other piece, and then get back to that piece that I just randomly started.
Wow. And I think I had touched upon this earlier as well, because when you gave the example of CBT and how you engage in certain practices or routines and things, and once you overcome the challenge that you had, you look back and you're like, oh, what was I doing? And you question yourself. Similarly, like I think we as creators, we also evolve through our work, and sometimes there might be pieces that might no longer resonate with you, or maybe it was a different version of you and things like that. So have you ever felt that Do you think there have been pieces that no longer resonate with you today, or how would you treat those pieces?
Not yet, not exactly, because like I'm still there. But I do hope that maybe one day um, I would no longer know what it feels like to feel this. I had a different answer to this question because it was asked at the launch by someone.
I wonder who.
And I at that moment I said no. This would always be my feeling or my idea or my experience with it. But now that I actually got down and thought about it, I hope that there would come a time where I would no longer be there, but like I would always know what it feels like because I felt it. I felt every word inside, every letter, if I'm being dramatic. So yeah, I mean, I just hope so. I hope so.
So, as a self-published author, what was the most challenging part of writing and preparing a book? And on the flip side, what part of the process did you enjoy the most?
The part I enjoyed the most is the fact that I'm just doing this for me. This is not an assignment. It's not a task at work. It's not a chore. No one is expecting anything from me. So like that was the cool part. I'm doing this for the sake of it because I want to do it because I can do it. But at a certain point, I realized, oh, I'm the person who has the expectations. So like, like it was a kind of a conflict between me and me, Like, yeah, I really enjoyed the fact that I'm just doing it for the sake of it because I want to. It's been so long that we've all been just caught up with things that we're supposed to do or things that we need to do. So like, yeah, this is the part that I enjoyed. The challenges are a lot because it happens to be a one-woman show. And although it's been a chance for me to literally implement everything that I learned over the years generally, but the challenges are a lot because you're learning. Yes, you know what you're doing, but you're learning. And having to deal with people ignoring you, whether you're trying to distribute the book or find a place to launch or even trying to reach your audience. The most challenging thing, I'm not sure if it was like this is the right way to say it, but I fell in a place where I let something consume me and drain me. The part where I had to create content, like I said, it's a one-woman show, so I had to do everything. I had to think, create, write, prepare, do meetings, search. The part where I had to create content really drained me because I was so worried, like, how do I want to present this? Because I want people to see it how I see it. I want people to receive it how I'm actually intending it to be. But then again, I learned to take breaks. It didn't really work, but it's important to take breaks. So yeah, I don't want people to, if they're doing anything, whether it's personal or they're supposed to do it for another person, don't let it consume you. Don't let it drain you because it could get really tricky.
Absolutely. And I think, yeah, sometimes the creative process might even get you all fogged up. The lens is all foggy. You're just writing, you're putting a lot out there and stuff. You can't be in a flow state where, you're pumping out your ideas or content or material whatsoever. But then if you don't really check in on yourself, if you don't really, go for that walk or clear your mind or look at the clouds whatsoever, you're not really giving yourself the chance to, review, reflect, and allow space for clarity. All right, golden question. Why did you choose to self-publish?
It is a golden question. I wanted to fully experience the experience. So, like I said, as a kid, I always had this dream of becoming an author. I didn't know it would be a poetry book. I would always just imagine myself talking to someone over the phone and be like, yeah, I'll meet you after the book signing, my book signing. I had no idea what type of book, what title, what year, who is the person, but I am telling someone I'm meeting you after the signing. So like I wanted to do the whole thing. And honestly, knowing what it's like to collaborate with publishing houses, I wasn't ready to have anyone change or edit my work, because there are certain things that I want to deliver. So like I didn't want anybody to change that. That doesn't mean that like I don't trust them or like they don't know better, because obviously they're in the industry, but I want what I wrote to be out there like I wrote it for me when I wrote it. And these are mainly the two reasons why, but the first one is more important. I want to do the whole thing.
So now that the book is published, how has the reception been so far? Were there any responses that surprised you or moved you as such?
Generally, it's slow because I'm literally just getting started and I am self-publishing. So like the base is really, I don't want to say empty, but it's slow. However, a couple of things, or maybe let's say a few, happened that really got me excited. After the launch, one person reached out, ordered a copy, got the copy, and literally read it and shared their thoughts and takes on it. Literally just 2 days after. The thing is, one of the cool things about my book is there's a dedicated part for readers to share their insights, their reviews, their takes, or whatever. So when that person messaged me their feedback, it was exciting because it was really quick. Like you just got the book, yeah. And there was a line at the end of his text. He said, one last question to the writer: how could such a light book on the hand feel so heavy on the heart?
Ooh. Wow.
I was like, are you a poet? I really loved it. That really touched me.
Wow.
Because that's how it actually felt for me. I know it's a relatively small, light book, but it really carries some heavy, heavy stories and emotions. And knowing that got through to just, that one little kid who feels and relates, that's great. Yeah, totally. The last exciting story, everybody who attended the launch, they're people I know, whether we worked together, went to school together, family members, or even random acquaintances that I met before. However, someone actually came. I have absolutely no idea how you learned about it, but it was really exciting. And looking back at the video recorded, everybody that came in late, I was maybe in the middle of reading a poem, or this is the mic, by the way.
Yeah.
I may be reading a poem or answering a question, and be like, "Oh, hi!" They're like, "Come in." So like it was really exciting seeing people. So yeah, I really loved it. Like maybe these are what. So yeah, that was really exciting. Yeah.
Right. So, do you see yourself writing another collection? And what would your immediate future plans be?
Okay. I do want to explore a different direction where I want to write the novel that I always dreamt about writing. I haven't started, but I do have a title. Because with this one, coming up with the title was very frustrating, because I had a title and I envisioned myself walking down the street and people pointing at me with the title that I made up, but then I found out that someone stole my title. Someone had that title. It's also a poetry collection. It's also about depression, surprisingly. I intended it to be called Trauma Dump, but like we're not gonna go there. But yeah, I wanna write a novel. So yeah, maybe it'll be out in 2 years, if I'm lucky.
Right.
Yeah, I want to explore that.
Maybe assuming or even hoping that perhaps your next collection won't put you through, these experiences, because here you're breaking, So maybe the next one could be I'm on a break.
Yes. Yes, sounds okay. Yeah.
So, do you think you could have written the same book at an earlier stage in your life?
Maybe. The whole book, no, but maybe some parts of it, because I experienced different things on different levels, on different periods of my life. But unfortunately, somehow it started really way back, really early. So maybe I could have written either some of the pieces or some parts of the pieces, maybe, but the whole book, no, because like I had to go through the whole experience and then be able to come out with this.
And final question.
Okay.
What advice would you give to aspiring poets or writers?
Can I give two?
Sure. Now buy one, get one free. All right.
Always, yeah. For writers and poets generally, write what you want to read. Always write what you want to read and what you want to hear. A piece of advice for people, for everybody, don't wait, don't procrastinate, don't associate whatever that you want or need to do or get with a person or a time. There's no such thing as the right time, to some extent. Like, always do what you want to do what you could do, whenever, however you want it. Because I wish someone told me this earlier in life. Like, I would always be like, when I'm this old or when I'm at that place, I would do this. And then you realize that you're not doing what you want it to do. Whether, because sometimes we imagine reaching a certain point will provide us with whatever that we require to do the thing, and we just never, we might never. The other reason might be, and this is from my literal personal experience, maybe when you reach that point you were waiting to reach, you no longer have the spirit to do whatever that you wanted to do earlier. So don't wait, don't procrastinate, just do it now.
Just do it.
Yeah. Get it done.
Yeah. Great. Well, that wraps up this beautiful session where we have dug deep and understood more about Zoe's story as well as this beautiful book. Thank you so much for sharing, for inspiring, and for just being real, just being you, you know.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Adel, for doing this. It went smooth. I was really nervous, and thank you. So, like,
thank you for being nervous. It's fine. You know.
Thank you very much for doing this. And of course, thank you to the man behind the camera. A big thank you for both of you, for your kindness and for your generosity, for the time, for the effort. I do have a question though.
Sure.
You happen to be one of the lucky people who got a copy of the book. Could we please hear your take on it, your review, your feedback, your comments, your thoughts?
Sure. So what I have to say is that I did see bits and pieces of some of my early writings in this book.
Ooh.
And even in terms of how I used to write, you know, and it was very personal. In some ways, it was me using my writings as an outlet, or more like as a vent, you know,
Yeah.
to just breathe it all out and put it out there.
Yeah.
So some of the pieces in this book actually spoke to me in that sense, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is kind of like me revisiting or an echo of what I used to write and things. And I'm also quite impressed with the whole package, you know. Like, this is a book, like when you see it, you really want to just pick it up and you want to see what it's about, you know. Even the way you've mentioned this little bit where it says look inside and things, you know. So overall, it's an amazing job, a job well done. And it also in many ways has inspired me, because despite me writing and having my manuscripts, I never really got around to publishing. So
Are you considering self-publishing?
well, I
Please
still
do.
have to think.
Please do.
Yeah, I have to flip a coin at some point, you know, because I'm hearing different things about publishing versus self-publishing. So so yeah, it's definitely inspiring me to actually get my work out there as well. So thank you for doing that. I know it's not something you've done consciously, but yeah, it's what's happening in my head at this point, you know. So great job, and looking forward to having more people read the book and obviously let Zoe know what you think,
Yeah.
and we hope you'll enjoy it. Thank you,
Thank
Zoe.
Thank you forever. I'm probably gonna spend the rest of the evening thanking you. I'm glad that you got a chance to read it, and thank you for sharing this with me. Finally, your take on it. I'm really glad and grateful, honored and proud. Not just because I did this, but like now you're taking the spot of the one kid who can feel and relate. So yeah, this is nice that I'm
One big kid who feels and relates.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. That wraps it up, and thank you for joining.
Thank you, everybody.
See you.